okay. I'm just going to start off by saying this one's going to be a little weirder because I've kind of already built this thing a while ago. So this is going to be a little bit of a weird episode as we throw it all together, but it's still going to be interesting. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, let's go. So as mentioned before, this is a little bit of a weirder one because, like I said, I've already picked this out. I like built this build like a couple months ago actually, and still want to show it to you guys because it's weird. It's weird. Anyways, but this is the palette that we're going to be using today. Palette number 6355. So we're going to see how this goes. I know how it goes. Okay. I don't know what I'm doing with this. This is a weird video, but this is the palette we're going to be using today. Alright, so it goes as follow: redstone lamp, jungle planks, purple terracotta, soil, oh my gosh, sand, soil, nether bricks, nether bricks, and light gray terracotta. Very, very interesting. Again, I say this every single freaking palette, man. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Oh, I wonder what I'm going to do there. But let's just build. Okay, let's just go. In all honesty, I really struggled with this build because these are colors I would not touch. Like, I usually don't deal with these colors. I don't deal with this kind of spectrum, right? Coming up with, like, the original design took some time, but I think we were able to figure something out. Like I said, this is kind of a weird build for me. I don't do stuff like this. So coming at this, I really started to think about lore when I started to build this building, right? Now, here we are. We're going to discuss lore and building, okay? I know this is kind of weird. It's like lore when you're building something in Minecraft. Yeah, just stick with me here, okay? So here's my advice. If you have something that doesn't make sense, start to build a story around it, right? And so I think for me, that just makes my brain happy. But it brings sense to me, okay? So originally, I created another portal. And since I did not know what to do with it, we got this weird geotype thing. I'll be honest, I don't know what I was thinking, but this was just kind of the thought process of like, maybe I'll build this weird geotype thing. Like, there's this nifty little website I'm going to tell you about. It's called hublocks.com, I think. I don't know. Hublocks. You look up Hublocks, right? You'll find it. And it creates a transition for you between blocks, okay? So go find that boy because it's super nifty and it's really nice. But it uses transitions between blocks, right? So I went from like the nether bricks to the jungle planks because that's why I determined the darkest to the lightest, and it created a nice little transition for me. So by using these transitions between the blocks, I created this weird like geo thing. First, I started out by trying to find the middle and quite disappointingly figured out rather quickly that, my thing is not, well, I guess it's even, it's not odd, it doesn't have an exact middle. But I was like, you know what, it's a weird geo thing, so we're just going to stick with it. And so I went from light to dark, because I feel like that's what happens with a geode, right? We see it in Minecraft with their little amethyst geodes, and we see it in real life with a geode. It starts from, like, the middle is light, the outside is dark. Okay. So, yeah, so using these transitions, I know what I'm talking about. I created this weird, like, geode thing, and it seemed to be working out pretty well. Like, I like the transitions, I like kind of the look of it, and it's pretty cool. So once I had put all the blocks in, I thought, honestly, I was like, oh, I'm done. Like, yeah, this is pretty good. But, like, TBH, guys, this build haunted me for, like, a week. Maybe a couple weeks. I kept, like, coming back and, like, staring at it. And, like, I would just look at it. And I had no idea what to do. I would be like, it was just so plain to me. And I could feel like there was something more to it. But I just did not know what it needed. Like, I don't know what else I could have done with it. And so I literally stared at it for like a couple weeks. I kept scratching my head about like what could I do with it, right? And so like one thing about these colors is that they work really well with the nether. They have like pretty strong nether vibes, right? So thinking of another build didn't really like sit right with me. Like it felt right to be like another portal entrance, but I just didn't know what else. I just don't know what else it needed, right? You know, like it needed to be something nether because it made sense. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it makes sense to me. And it was missing something, and that's kind of where this idea of lore started coming in, right? Lore or creating a story. And so since I was kind of uncomfortable with the build, I was like, okay, what could I add to it that would make it more interesting first off? But still this idea of like story was kind of sitting in my head. And so as I started building these tower things, I had the idea of like, okay, well, what if there was this group of people that came across this weird portal thing, right? So what would happen? And I thought, okay, there's going to be two ways that it goes. It's going to be like a religious thing, or it's going to be like a watchful thing, right? Like, oh no, this is like aliens from the sky, or like, oh my gosh, this is God punishing us, or something like that. So I kind of went like a religious route. So here's the story. Because since I need to make sense of this build, I hope this helps make sense of the build for you, if that makes any sense. How many times can I say sense in a sentence? I can speak words. But the story goes as follows, right? So this group of people, they come across this portal, and either in the ground, in the sky, whatever the heck it is, and obviously it's a sign from God, probably about death and destruction, and like they're doing something wrong, so they're panicking. And so obviously what you gotta do is to build a shrine to it, to make sacrifices to this god, whatever it is, right? Like that's what you gotta do. So I put in these two towers, right? And they're kind of this like watchful thing, right? So they're there to watch the portal and to like call people to pray. And that's where you pray Ramiumptum style, you know, you're all up there praying. And so that's kind of what these towers are, is this way to watch the portal, to see if there's any sign from God, you know, the God of this portal, and to pray while you're making sacrifices. So a fun fact about these towers too, since there is like no exact middle, they were like really off, so I had to move them again because it was just not working out. It was not in the middle, and it was really bugging me, and I was like, no, as it goes. So here's some lessons to you guys, is like, make sure to count things. Here's some more advice, right? Count things so it's like even, so you don't have to rebuild something or because it looks weird, you know? And that's also a problem, is you don't want to make things look weird. I'm lucky because I'm in creative here, so it's easy to kind of tear things down and make it, but imagine if it was in whatchamacallit, survival or something. Oh, I would die. So here you can see the obvious with this path going and the obvious unevenness of it. But, you know, back to the story, okay? So obviously you have these towers for praying and you got these towers for watching. So obviously you need a sacrifice point, because if you're going to make sacrifice to this weird demon god, like, you got to have a place to do it. And so that's what this little like next little platform is that it's just a little place to make sacrifices. And honestly, at this point in the build, I just started throwing random stuff down because, again, it still felt like it needed something. I had no idea what, so I was just throwing stuff down. But in this little pathway, there's like one of those spawn anchor points things. I'm not really sure what it's called. I think it's called a respawn anchor. I have no idea. But it's the thing you put in the nether that works as a bed. So if you die in the nether, you can just, like, you fill it up with glowstone. You know, that thing. But fun fact, it blows up in the overworld. So that is something that I discovered. Fun fact for you. But anyways, my dudes. Anyways. That's like the sacrifice point, right? That's the sacrificing altar. That's the sacrificing table, whatever the heck you want to call it. They come, they bring the sacrifice there. It's like this cool thing that maybe they found in this portal. Who knows? Or that the portal spit out. I don't know. And so they go, they sacrifice them. or prepare him to sacrifice, and then they bring him up to the portal and toss him in, right? And that's the story. Do I feel that this story adds to the build? 100%. At least for me, it brings sense to something that doesn't make a lot of sense, right? If I made things like this more often, I think I'd be like more chill with it. But I'm just like, I'm kind of uncomfortable with it for some reason. Like, I feel like it's missing something. I don't know. But yeah, for me, I need a story with it. Do I still feel like it's missing something? Yeah. Like I said before, like, I still feel like this build is kind of missing, but I don't know. But that's the thing I'm still trying to figure out, right? I am not the best builder. I can admit that. But that's why we're doing this thing. That's why we're doing this series. So that we could challenge myself. We can learn together. We can figure things out together. While also giving, like, tips for people like me. Where, like, okay, you're kind of in this transition period where you're trying to be a better builder and things like that. But shout out to y'all. But yeah, so that's the build and kind of the lore behind it. IDK, man. IDK. So yeah, this is a build. This is a weird build. I'm just gonna say it right off the bat. This is a weird build. I don't even know what to say for my final words here. So we might just leave it at that, because it's just, I don't know. I legitimately don't know what to say, so that's what we're gonna say, my dudes. Okay. Yep. Okay. If you're liking this content, like, comment, subscribe. What would you do differently? All that good stuff. Yeah. Okay. I'll see y'all later. Bye.